So this is Dutch's half-wit hammock. And what makes it the half-wit is this bug netting that's on here that goes about halfway. Now, I've used other types of bug netting. This one's kind of nice that it's always on the hammock, but you don't have to zip it or try and get in through a bottom hole. And it's got some hooks on it. So this hook here is what actually pulls it out of the way. So when that's down, it can now drape down over you. But right now it's kind of, it'd be up against you. So this slides along the ridge line. So you can see now it creates a nice little tent underneath. And when you lay in there, this netting that falls will be up against your top quilt. And so it creates a pretty good barrier there. So let me throw on my shoes and walk around and show you the outside of it a little bit. So as I showed here, this moves. It also has an adjustment on here, a barrel lock, so that you can pull it up and down depending on where it is. But you can see that it covers about halfway down the hammock. So as you're laying in here, your head will be up inside, covered, and that way the mosquitoes aren't going to eat you. So it's got the sewn channels at the end, which he has the continuous loop through, and then the ridge line. It's a fixed ridge line. What's different about this one than any of my other Dutch hammocks is that this end channel is actually sewn about 6 to 8 inches down. So it creates a little bit of a tunnel up at the top to keep it around you. And I think that's because of the bug net that's in there. So the bug net is sewn along the outside all the way to the midline. So right here, where he has these pull-out points, and it does come with the pull-out lines on it. I don't use them. I don't see a need for them for what I do, so I've taken those off. And you continue down the sides, and you come to this section here, which is the Noddy Mod. You can see here with the wind blowing it out a little bit, what that Noddy Mod does is I lay with my head on this side, foot on this side, and it creates a good foot box. And what that foot box is good for is in the middle of the night, if you're flopping around or if you have the top quilt off of you, venting a little bit, it'll keep your feet over here, and it'll keep the top quilt from flopping out as you're getting in and out as well. Now I have it cinched up a little bit on the head side as well. So you can see it's cinched up quite a bit on the foot side, a little bit on the head side. And what that does is it creates enough tension on this side to keep the fabric from flopping over. I don't know if you've ever been in a hammock that's a little bit loose and the edge flops over, can get on your face. I like to have it a little bit tighter so that it doesn't flop over. And that's what you get with this one. Coming down to this end, another sewn channel. You can see he's got 3 different sew lines there, really reinforced, continuous ridge line on here, or fixed ridge line. I've got my hammock gear organizer on here. This side is kind of open, put stuff in. The other side has 3 pockets, so 3 individual pockets you can put stuff in. And then in the middle, it actually has this sleeve where you can slide a water bottle. So this sleeve right here, you can actually slide a water bottle into at night to keep it up there above you and accessible. So this is my hammock, and as I've shown in other videos, the suspension that I like to use is the anti-gravity gear mule tape. It doesn't have to be the anti-gravity gear. You could just buy some mule tape, tie it on, and then use the end with the Beckett hitch here on the continuous loop. And then up to what I've been using the last few trips is this 7-foot Dutch Kevlar tree hugger. So I've got it on both ends. You can see that based on the size of the tree, you can wrap it around different amounts of times. I've got it wrapped around 3 times here. I'd had some people talk about how once you wrap it around the tree, it shrinks and it pulls. Well, this was wrapped around the tree last night, and it is still wide. It didn't do this. It didn't crinkle up and make any harsh points on the tree. So I don't think it's a problem. I think it's just fine. It works great. These are the 7-foot ones, which gives you a little bit more flexibility in distances between trees and size of tree that you can go around. The material on this half-wit is the Hexon 1.6 material, and you can see that it has both a square and a diamond weave to it. Feel is pretty good. It's definitely not as silky as the nylon D that's on my 1.0 double layer Dutch hammock, but it's a very, very nice. Preferable for me to the argon. I had an argon one, didn't really care for it all that much, but this is my hammock setup. This is what I use. This is what I like. Now Dutch sends all of his hammocks with a double-ended stuff sack, and so what I do is I'll hook up one end of my suspension, open up one end of the bag, pull my hammock out, connect the other end of the suspension, and then to take it down, I'll disconnect the end that I have the double end at, and then as I walk towards the other side of the suspension, I will pull it into the stuff sack so that this hammock never touches the ground. Makes it real easy for packing it up and getting it out when you're getting set up. So I did have Dutch for a little bit of money make me a bigger stuff sack, a bigger double-ended stuff sack. And what that allows me to do is I have on my other hammock, I have the Franke style bottom entry bug net on it, and it's kind of a pain to put the bottom quilt, the under quilt on and take it off every night with that bug net on there. You know, you've kind of got to reach through, crawl up inside, hook it up, come to the other side, hook it up. And so what I did was I had Dutch build me the bigger stuff sack so that I could actually put my top quilt or my under quilt on, stuff everything, so the bug net, the hammock, and the under quilt all into one stuff sack, and use it that way. And that worked out really well for that hammock. For this one, it doesn't really matter because with just this little piece of bug net here, there's nothing I've got to crawl up underneath. Makes getting in and out at night real easy. And then for storing my quilts, I just stuff them down into my backpack. So right now you can see that I've got them stuffed in here. I just shove them in there. You know, if there's no chance of rain, no worries, just throw them in there. If it's going to be raining, or if I think there's going to be some rain, I'll do the trash compactor bag and throw it in there. So there you guys go. Dutch hammock. Thanks, Dutch. Make a good product. So when setting up your hammock and your suspension, one of the numbers that comes up a lot is a 30-degree hang angle. And so how do you know if you've got a 30-degree hang angle? Well, it takes a little bit of adjusting to get it just right so that when you're in the hammock you have a nice tight ridgeline. Right now, with no weight in the hammock, mine's not very, very tight. But if I was to sit in it, you can see that it tightens up. And what you should be able to do is be able to just get a little bit of a bind in there. So a little bit of a bend on the line, but otherwise it's pretty tight. Holds up stuff that's on the ridgeline. That's what you're looking for. So that 30-degree angle, how do you know if you have that 30-degree angle? Well, you can look at your hammock. You know, they have things out there that they sell called the hangle. It's a little contraption you put on your ridgeline or on your suspension, and it actually points to an angle, tells you what your angle is. But a real simple, cheap way to do it is, if you're looking at your hammock, on your right side, use your right hand. On your left side, use your left hand, and make an L, okay, like this, and put it up against your suspension with this. Okay, so put it up there, and you can see that mine's about 30 degrees there. Come over here, about 30 degrees there. And that's a quick, easy way to do it. Just a little tip for you.